Mike Pence's CNN town hall with Dana Bash was incredibly awkward. First, let's watch him talk about whether or not Donald Trump will get the nomination and whether Mike Pence would support him if he does.
But as soon as I heard the voice and ideals of the 40th President of the United States, I joined the Reagan Revolution and never looked back. And I've always supported the Republican nominee for President of the United States, and I'll support the Republican nominee in 2024, especially if it's me.
Well, but I just need to follow up on this, because you also say, and I've heard you say this for years, I'm a Christian, I'm a conservative, and a Republican in that order.
Yeah.
You just spent a lot of time, both here and earlier today, explaining why you think that the former president did not uphold his oath to the Constitution. So then how can you say that you would support him if he's the nominee?
Well, because I don't think Donald Trump's going to be the nominee
What if
in
he
the
is?
Republican Party. I don't think he's going to be the nominee.
What if he is?
I have great confidence in Republican primary voters. We have a field of strong and experienced candidates that grew by one today. And I truly do believe that people here in Iowa are going to recognize the challenges that we're facing and understand that different times call for different leadership. The American people don't look backwards. We look forward. And I truly do believe whatever the polls show and whatever the pundits are saying, that when the time comes, the people of Iowa are going to take a fresh look at all of us that have stepped forward. I don't think my old running mate is going to be the Republican nominee for president, and I'm very confident that I'll be able to support the Republican nominee for president of the United States. And I hope it's me.
Mike Pence there is just so incredibly awkward. He's got his memorized line that he just repeats once Dana Bash pushes back. I mean, that's really all Mike Pence is. He's a shill with memorized kind of words and talking points that he hopes will get him elected to the president of the United States, which is really not going to happen. And then I like how Mike Pence talks about how he's confident in Republican primary voters. Really? They went with Donald Trump in 2016. So, Mike, I don't know where you're finding all that confidence. Now let's transition over to Mike Pence talking about whether or not he will pardon Trump if he gets elected.
Sir, if Donald Trump is convicted of a crime and you're elected president, would you pardon him?
Well, I don't want to speak about hypotheticals. I'm not sure I'm going to be elected president of the United States. But I believe we have a fighting chance. I really believe we do.
And if you are?
And I would hope, again, Dana, you're as persistent as ever. CNN is living up to its reputation. But look, there are real issues the American people are facing. And rather than talking about that, I want to talk about what the people here in Iowa are talking about, which is the failed policies of the Biden administration. And the need for us to have new leadership in the White House.
Now, it's amazing that we're even having to talk about the vice president, the former vice president, pardoning the former president because of his crimes. That's already just kind of amazing that we are at this point. But of course, Mike Pence, he delivers by just flat out refusing to answer the question. Because he's a coward. I mean, let's be real. This guy is doing everything he can to not enrage the Trump supporters any more than he already has by not trying to basically overthrow our democracy on January 6th. Now, this next clip is really the highlight of the night because it exposes Mike Pence for the incompetent buffoon that he is in regards to the rule of law in the United States.
Now more than ever, we ought to be finding ways we could actually come together.
Sir, we're going to get
and
to
this kind of action by the Department of Justice, I think, would only fuel further division in the country. And let me also say, I think it would also send a terrible message to the wider world. I mean, we're the emblem of democracy. We're the symbol of justice in the world. And the serious matter, which has already happened once in New York, of indicting a former president of the United States sends a terrible message to the world. I hope the DOJ thinks better of it and resolves these issues without an indictment.
Sir, I just want to clarify. What you're saying is that if they believe he committed a crime, they should not go forward with an indictment? You just talked before about committing to the rule of law.
Let me be clear that no one's above the law.
Okay.
But with regard to the unique circumstances here, look, I had no business having classified documents in my residence, and I took full responsibility for it. President Biden had no business having them in his residence from when he was vice president as well. And the same with former President Trump. But I would just hope that there would be a way for them to move forward without the dramatic and drastic and divisive step of indicting a former president of the United States. We've got to find a way to move our country forward and restore confidence in equal treatment under the law in this country. We really do.
Mike Pence says no one is above the law, except Donald Trump, right? And then he wants to restore confidence in equal treatment under the law. Yeah, restore confidence by letting Trump slide. Right? I just want to be clear, Mike, that's your understanding of the rule of law, and you want to be the president of the United States. Okay. It sends a terrible message to the world. What message is that? That a leader can get away with whatever he wants because he was the president of the United States for 4 years? He led the country? That sounds like a pretty bad message to send to the world, Mike. And then he talks about that he doesn't want to divide the country anymore, and that an indictment of Trump will divide the country. So let's just not do it, right, Mike? Because Trump's violent supporters who wanted to hang you, this will enrage them, and they may lash out. So what? We're just going to succumb to the violent extremist minority because we don't want any violence? So we just excuse the law. Mike Pence, you flat out are in no way, shape, or form ready to be president of the United States. And it really, every time you talk, it enrages me that you were a heartbeat away from the presidency for 4 years. Like, say what you want to about how bad Donald Trump was. He was terrible. He will go down in history as the worst president to ever hold that office. But this is just another reminder, Mike, of how totally unprepared you are, both mentally, socially, whatever way you want to cut it. You are so unprepared to be the president of the United States. And the fact that you were a heartbeat away is so maddening.